All right. Looks like we're live. Let's just make sure everything is live before we officially kick in here, folks. I got to make sure I see it. You know how that goes. I got to see it because I got no on-site producer. And there we go. YouTube's up. How you doing, YouTube? Hope you are well. Say hello. Rockfin, where you at? Rockfin's there. That was pretty much a tie. That was pretty much a tie, if I must say so myself. Let me get a little. There we go. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. For everyone who's in my time zone, it's definitely morning. Happy Sunday. And for everyone who's catching the podcast later, how are you doing? How's everything going? And also, another reminder, this is the second. Oh, I stumbled over that. Sorry, y'all. This is the second to last week of Get Your News On with Ron in its current format. Get Your News On with Ron is not disappearing. It's not going away forever, but it's going to change formats. The audio podcast is no longer going to happen, and it's just going to be a live stream that happens once a week. It's not going to be just on Sundays. It's going to be all kinds of different times and different days, and it's going to just be a casual chat, and it's going to be one big stream. That's how it's going to go. We're not going to do the two different streams the way we're doing now, where we do stories and then we do like a casual chat after. That's all going away. So, yeah, best way to stay abreast with everything and to continue to get your news on with Ron the way you know and love it. Patreon.com/Ron Placone. My Patreon is tierless. That means $1 a month is all it takes. Whatever you're comfortable giving is all it costs. And you get all kinds of cool perks. You get full stand-up sets not available anywhere else. I'll be dropping my full set from May 12th shortly. You get, I'll make you a theme song. You get all the Get Your News On with Ron streams and patron streams. And that's all for as low as $1 a month. All right, there we go. There we go. There we go. So, let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the SAG-AFTRA. Will they be jumping into the strike? We're going to start there. Then we're going to be talking about a very disturbing Orwellian type story where a woman was evicted for taking night classes. This goes into the whole they're using facial recognition technology in public housing to try to get people out of housing. I've covered that on this show and on Status Quo as well. And then also, we're going to be talking about a good news story. As Get Your News On with Ron is switching formats, I am very proud to report a strike victory. You might have heard about it already, but of course, I wanted to talk about it on this show. So let's dive right in. So this is from SAG-AFTRA. Now, quick refresher here. The writers are on strike. The Writers Guild is on strike. The strike is continuing. We've been covering that a lot on the show. The writers' demands were very, very reasonable. They were asking for living wages. They were asking for proper staffing of writers' rooms. You know, have a decent staff to get the job done. Which, by the way, now more than ever, that should be a really easy request to fill. Because guess what? You can do writers' rooms over Zoom now. So you're already saving all this money on Hollywood real estate, and they're still not still not properly staffing writers' rooms. It's ridiculous. They're asking for a proper time allotment to complete their contract. They're asking for decent residuals, which are going the way of the buffalo. That's it. Everything they're asking for, very reasonable. These studios are recording record profits, yet they can't pay the writers, the backbone who makes everything happen. Writing is the backbone of every show you see. Every single show you see, writing is the backbone. It is such an important component. And without it, nothing happens. Nothing happens without it. So that's going on. Now, SAG-AFTRA, which is the Screen Actors and the Guild and the broadcasters, their contract is going to be up soon as well. And they have just sent something out to authorize a strike. So here, check this out. SAG-AFTRA's National Board votes unanimously to ask members for strike authorization. SAG-AFTRA's National Board voted unanimously today to recommend that the union's members authorize a strike in advance of its upcoming negotiations for a new film and TV contract. In anticipation of the union's forthcoming TV theatrical contract negotiations with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which begin June 7th, the SAG-AFTRA National Board agreed unanimously to recommend that its members vote to authorize a strike. So what this means, well, here, we'll go on. We'll continue with this quote. An affirmative vote does not mean a strike would necessarily happen, but it would allow the national board to call one if deemed necessary during the negotiations process. My cat Lucy is very excited. She's saying they should vote to strike. I don't know if you can hear Lucy. She's chilling here. The action comes following a unanimous agreement by the TV Theatrical Negotiating Committee that the strike authorization would give the union maximum bargaining leverage as it enters this round of negotiations. So basically, they're asking the union, let's give us the authorization to strike. So when we go to the negotiation table, they know that this is possible. Postcards will be sent to eligible members on May 18th with instructions on how to vote, and voting will close 5 p.m. Pacific time on June 5th. So voting closes June 5th as far as what the members can say. Do you want to authorize a strike or not? And then I believe negotiations are around June 7th, and then we'll see what happens. My prediction as of right now, and kind of hope I'm wrong, but I think they are going to authorize a strike. And I think that they're likely going to go on strike. And what I think is going to happen, I think SAG-AFTRA is going to jump into the strike, which between the writers and the actors and the broadcasters, I mean, that's pretty much just going to shut down the entire industry. IATSE is going to follow suit. That's the stage and theatrical employees, makeup artists, stuff like that. They're going to follow suit. They've been, talking about jumping in anyway. But if SAG-AFTRA goes on strike, well, they're basically going to be on strike whether they like it or not, because nothing's going to be happening. You already have the Teamsters not crossing a picket line. So I have a feeling that this is going to, I have a feeling they're going to jump in. I have a feeling SAG-AFTRA, I think they're going to vote to authorize a strike because people are really ticked off, y'all. People are ticked off, and deservedly so. And look, I don't like that this is the reality. I wish the studios would just give the writers what they're asking for, and we could all just be back in a functioning industry. That's what I want. I think that's what everyone wants. But they're not budging, and so this strike is necessary. Now, people are saying, well, gee, if SAG-AFTRA shuts it down and the writers are shut down and all these other organizations are going to shut down, in cooperation, surely the studios are just going to give in, right? Well, here's the deal on that other side, folks. The studios, and by studios, I mean like the Netflixes, the Hulu, stuff like that, the big behemoths, the big Wall Streets, the big Wall Street fat cats, they have more, they have a bigger library of content than they've ever had before. Last time this happened in 2007, 2008, they relied on reality TV, unscripted stuff to kind of fill the gaps, which they'll do something like that again. So look forward to more trash television. But now they have an arsenal of content because keep in mind, think about how more advanced streamers are now than they were in 2007, 2008. They've come so much further. I mean, back then, Netflix was still a kind of niche thing. You got DVDs in the mail. Now, what Netflix is like the big king on campus. So now, they're going to be able to just wait it out almost as long as they have to. And they're going to be able to put their pressure on the workers, going like, "Hey, we can still wait this out. Our quarters are looking fine. Our shareholders are happy. Do you want your industry back or not?" So, and again, I mean, I am 110% in support of the strike, and I want to see it happen because it has to happen. I wish it didn't have to happen, but it does. But unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be as simple as, well, if they shut the entire industry down, the studio will offer them a deal within a week. I don't think it's going to be that simple, again, because the studio has a lot of power. The studios have a lot of power, and by power, I mean content. So they can really wait it out. So my honest prediction, folks, because of just how much unrest there is right now, and deservedly so, I think SAG-AFTRA is going to jump in. And again, part of the reason the writers went on strike is because, part of the reason, a lot of them just have nothing to lose. I include myself in this, by the way. Jobs are becoming fewer and farther between. Contracts are getting shorter and shorter. It's just becoming part of the gig economy. So many writers are just like, what the hell? Why not? It's got to get better than this. Someone's making money off of all this stuff. It ain't us. So stand with the WGA, stand with SAG-AFTRA. But I think this could last a while. I hope I'm wrong. And I might be, I mean, for all I know, maybe the studios really do just want the industry functioning like normal. Maybe they're just thinking, look, we just had the shutdown with the pandemic. We really don't want to be shut down again because of our own doing, our own making. So let's just give them what they want. It's not, we're still going to have record profits if we give the writers and the actors and the stage workers, if we can give them everything they want, and we'll still make record profits. Maybe they'll reach that conclusion. I wouldn't bet on it. And in the post game, we can talk about what y'all think, but I suppose it's possible. I really hope that's what happens, but I wouldn't count on it. So yeah, we'll know more come June 5th, y'all. So let's move on to the straight up Orwellian dystopian hell story. like, so we've covered a lot on the show how facial recognition software is being used in public housing. So what does that mean? So big mass landlords, like big corporate landlords who own tons of properties, they are using facial recognition in public housing to try to catch people doing something that they're not supposed to do so they can evict them. And well, what does this mean? Well, they say it deters stuff like drug use and crime and stuff like that. But in reality, what these people do, see, a lot of these big landlords, they don't want their public housing to be public housing. And sometimes the only thing that's stopping it from not being public housing anymore is the fact that there's a tenant there who was grandfathered in. So they make all kinds of ridiculous rules in the lease, that there's a limit on overnight guests. There's a limit on, I mean, what are some of the other ridiculous rules that they'll make? They'll make up these ridiculous rules. They'll be like, you can't be out in certain hours, stuff like that, that shouldn't even be legal to do, but they can get away with it. And then they use extensive surveillance to try to find somebody violating these rules. Here's a particular case where a woman was found guilty, quote unquote, of violating the rule of having an overnight guest too often. Here's the details, though. Let's check this out. Facial recognition is used to evict a single mother for taking night classes. Local officials across the U.S. are using surveillance cameras equipped with facial recognition technology to punish and evict public housing residents. This was reported by the Washington Post. The cameras have overwhelmingly been purchased through HUD, the Housing and Urban Development crime fighting grants. So it's under the guise of preventing crime. Instead of preventing crime or catching crime or whatever, the widespread implementation of this surveillance technology in public housing has mostly resulted in the overzealous monitoring and policing of the minutiae of poor Americans' daily lives. And for some folks, the consequences have been dire. It got to the point where it was like harassment. 33-year-old single mother Tanya Akobu, who was evicted from a surveillance-happy New Bedford, Massachusetts project for a comical, trivial offense back in 2021, told WAPO. So here's what happened. Per WAPO, surveillance footage bolstered the New Bedford Housing Authority's eviction claim that Akobu had broken a policy regarding how often a guest could visit overnight. Here's the deal, though. The guest in question was her ex-husband, who Akobu says was there babysitting their shared child, while she, a bus driver by day, was attending night classes to become a lab tech. So this woman was going to night school. She needed somebody to watch her child. So her ex-husband, who they're no longer married, but they still have a child together, obviously, her ex-husband was helping and coming there to watch the child. And they said she was breaking rules. They really made my life hell, she added. But despite WAPO's finding, there was little to no evidence to support tech effectors deter crime. So it doesn't deter any crime. It does stuff like this. It evicts poor people. It helps mass landlords evict poor people so that they can price gouge their property more. That's what it does. That's exactly what it does. That's what this technology does. And you can go to banfacialrecognition.com to sign the petition to just ban this incredibly dangerous technology that does, I wouldn't even say it does more harm than good because it really doesn't do any good. There's no concrete evidence out there that facial recognition technology has ever helped catching a bad guy or anything like that. None whatsoever. You know why? Because it's incredibly faulty technology. It has mismatches up to 98% of the time, especially when it involves a black or brown person. The databases are very, very susceptible to hacking. They're very vulnerable. Sometimes information gets in the wrong hands. It's been used by law enforcement to find information on an ex or troll for nudes. And it's never quote unquote caught a bad guy. It's deported people to countries they'd never been to. There was a mismatch where a guy got sent to Iran. He had never even been to Iran before, but he was mismatched with someone who, what shouldn't have, wasn't supposed to be in the United States or wasn't allowed to be in the United States and was an Iranian citizen. So they sent this guy back to Iran. He had never even been to Iran. So go to banfacialrecognition.com. Sign the petition, banfacialrecognition.com. So after that Orwellian ridiculous news, let's have a little bit of good news. So for the past 15 months, we were covering the stripper strike. The stripper strike was happening in North Hollywood. It was in regards to a topless bar called the Star Garden. The strippers were facing very, very dire conditions there. They were being mistreated and there was nobody to support them. We covered all the particular stories on this show over the past 15 months. I mean, there was a moment where a customer was acting out of line and there was no security there to kick them out. And when one of the dancers complained, they were basically just told, tough, deal with it. So this place was really, really bad. And so the strippers went on strike. And after 15 months, here's what happened. Dancers at LA's Star Garden topless dive bar become the nation's only unionized strippers. This is from Actors Equity. The 15-month effort by dancers employed at the Star Garden topless dive bar in North Hollywood, California, became to gain union recognition and ended today in complete victory. If you have been following our journey, then you know this has been a long, exhausting fight, which is why this victory is so sweet. This is according to Reagan, one of the Star Garden dancers. We put everything we have into this campaign, and we were fortunate to have the support and solidarity from the club's patrons, our allies and friends, the labor movement, and our union, Actors Equity Association. Lawyers representing the owners of the Star Garden topless dive bar in a settlement hearing with union attorneys withdrew all election challenges. That means they're recognizing the union, agreed to recognize the union, and will meet with Actors Equity Association across the bargaining table within 30 days to negotiate a first contract. The club also will reopen for business and bring back the dancers who were dismissed last year. As a result of the settlement, the National Labor Relations Board, after a 6-month delay due to the employer challenging the eligibility of some voters, will count all the votes this week and is expected to certify Actors Equity Association as the bargaining agent for Star Garden's dancers. Cinder, another Star Garden dancer, had this to say: "I'm excited that all my beautiful coworkers will finally have the seat at the table and a voice to discuss safety and other issues. This is a big day for us and dancers everywhere." Hell yeah. Hell frickin' yeah. And, as this show is switching formats, this is a really cool next to last show send-off, to just see a victory. We talk about labor rights a lot on this show. We talk about strikes. We talk about protests. And this is why. Because you can frickin' win. The no-host stripper strike was a victory. We've been covering it off and on for 15 months. And they won. Took a while, but they won. And hopefully this is an inspiration to other strikes everywhere. Now, I sincerely hope, tying it back to the first story today, I sincerely hope that the writer strike and whatever else is lumped in with this strike I sincerely hope that does not take 15 months. It would really suck if show business was pretty much completely shut down for 15 months. That would suck a lot. Um, but I guess we'll see. So solidarity with the strippers in NoHo. Congratulations on your union victory. And we'll continue to cover this. We'll see how the contract works out and stuff like that. But this is a huge victory. Shout out to them. Solidarity with them. Again, solidarity with the WGA, with SAG-AFTRA, with the Starbucks workers, with the Amazon workers. Everybody trying to unionize, everybody trying to form workers' co-ops, everybody fighting for living wages. We're at the breaking point, folks. And withholding our labor is the biggest tool we've got. That is by far the biggest tool we've got. We can't vote our way out of this. I'm not saying don't vote. Go vote. I'm not discouraging voting. I still vote. But we can't just vote our way out of this. That's not an option. Withholding our labor is all we've got. Because our labor is the backbone of this country. And if we say we're done, they're going to have to give a little. That's the way it's always worked in this country. That's the way it will always work in this country. So, all righty. Tour dates, I got them. June 16th, Madison, Wisconsin. June 17th, Minneapolis, Minnesota. June 23rd, Detroit, Michigan. June 28th, Bloomington, Indiana. June 29th, Chicago. Edinburgh. I'm going to be at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival August 16th through 27th. And I'm going to come back to my neighborhood. And on October 21st, I'm doing a comedy show in San Pedro. That's a comedy show that I'm producing. I will be on the show. Stephanie Blum will be on that show. You can get tickets and all information at my website, romplacone.com. And again, if you want to support the show on the sustainability end, patreon.com/romplacone. For a give what you can level, you get all kinds of cool perks. I'll make you a theme song. You get this stream and all the patron streams. You get all my content. I drop everything there. And you get full stand-up sets not available anywhere else. And that's for a give what you can level. Oh, and you'll get to preview, my series Loner, which if you haven't watched it yet, watch it right away. So when I make the second episode of Loner, you'll get to see it before everyone else. That's another perk on my Patreon. And you'll get to know more about the movie that I'm in production on too. So patreon.com/romplacone. I'm doing the patreon.com/romplacone. Patreon.com/romplacone. Guys, I will be, for everyone tuning in live, don't go anywhere. I'll be ending this stream and then starting the post-game stream where we just chat it up. We'll chat about these stories or anything you want. For everyone catching the podcast, this is the second to last audio podcast. To continue Get Your News On with Ron the way you know and love it, follow it on Twitter, YouTube, or Rockfin. And the easiest way, again, become a patron. $1 a month is all it takes. Just $1 a month. That's it. Patreon.com/romplacone. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Solidarity to the strippers, solidarity to the writers, solidarity to all. And you know the drill. Lucy, she says meow. I say peace, love, and a general strike.